$114,308. The gate was $1.651 million. So let me explain this. The fight of the night was Trujillo versus Varner. Those guys are going to win $75,000 each. Knockout of the night is Trujillo. He wins another $50,000. So congratulations to them. They both deserve it. Fought one of the sickest fights ever. Congratulations to both of those guys. Who's got the first question?
He's live, man.
Start off with Jose, obviously a very dominant win tonight. Maybe not as aggressive as we've seen you in the past, but how did you evaluate your performance?
Primeiramente com você, parabéns pela vitória. Talvez não agressivo como nas outras lutas. Como é que você avalia essa vitória?
Acho que foi uma vitória dura. Acho que a gente tem que também não desmerecer nosso adversário. O Ricardo é um grande oponente, fez por merecer a disputa do cinturão. Então, para mim a luta foi dura. Ele fez uma estratégia de lutar 5 rounds, então estava lutando conforme a gente ia jogando. Então, fiz uma estratégia boa, estava tranquilo, estava confiante. Sabia que no decorrer da luta ia ganhar tranquilo.
It was a tough fight. I had to respect Ricardo. He's a great fighter. I knew he was going to try to take the 5 rounds, so I planned my strategy accordingly. So it all went fine at the end. Got the results.
If there's been any question about Jose's career, it's been that he tends to fade late. He did lose the 5th and final round here. How much did fatigue play into that, or was it simply his strategy?
Tem falado um pouco do cansaço. Você perdeu o 5º round. Você cansou? Ou isso foi a estratégia? Como é que foi isso?
Então, primeiramente, eu acho que tem que ser muito o Ricardo. Eu acho que eu chutei ali. Eu acho que se eu chutasse muito perto de qualquer outro, eu acho que o outro tinha sentido. Então, ele foi muito duro, ele resistiu o chute forte ali. Eu acho que no round eu não perdi também. Eu acho que comecei bem, trocação, estava levando vantagem, passei, montei, quedei ele, então estava na vantagem. Eu acho que 2 minutos de luta, ganhei 3 minutos, então acho que é muito difícil você avaliar o round, sendo assim que eu dominei 3 minutos de luta e perdi 2 minutos. Estava muito tranquilo, na toa que segurei, defendi bem os cotovelos dele, então estava muito consciente. Eu acho que todo mundo quando pensa no Zé Aldo, pensa, o Zé Aldo lutar 5 rounds, vai chegar no final vai cansar, mas não, estou muito bem preparado. Se botasse mais um round ou 2, eu estaria lutando muito bem também.
Again, I had to respect Ricardo Lamas. He's a very tough opponent. He took some very hard kicks on the leg. Maybe some other guys had stopped before. So, and I don't think I lost the 5th round. I dominated the first 3 minutes, and of course the last 2 minutes he was at the top. But I controlled the situation where I was very comfortable. I was not tired. It just happened. I was maybe 2 minutes of the fight. And again, I trained hard. I don't get tired. I was not tired of the fight. I was well prepared. So that's just speculation for you.
Just one final one for Jose. I know you always say you let Dede and your team and everybody decide, but if you're the one making the call, it's your next fight at 155 pounds against Anthony.
Você sempre fala que você deixa o Dedé que decide, mas se fosse você decidindo, sua próxima luta seria um 5-5 contra o outro?
Acho que eu estou esperando só o Dana. Dana mandar, vou lutar, eu acho que não sou eu. Todo mundo quer ver essa luta, eu acho que o Antônio também. Acho que os fãs do MMA querem ver essa luta, então eu estou aí disposto. Se Dana colocar, por favor, estou às ordens, dia, horário, pronto. Até hoje também, se colocasse, eu lutaria também.
It's not about me, it's about Dana. I'm ready, I've always been ready. I want to fight. Everybody wants the fight. If the fight was tonight, I will fight him. So it's up to the UFC and Dana.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about that fight. I like that fight. I like Jose at 55. I think the weight cut's much easier for him. And I mean, at the end of the day, if he wants to, I mean, he's the king at 45. If he wants to move to 55, I think it's a huge fight with Pettis. Yeah, doesn't suck.
Acho que eu, o Pettis quer, acho que todos os fãs aqui, se perguntar para todo mundo quer ver. São 2 campeões, eu acho que são 2 caras muito talentosos que vão lutar para frente, mas vão dar espetáculo para todo mundo. Acho que não só nós vamos sair ganhando, mas também os fãs, também o mundo todo vai gostar dessa luta.
It's not only about me. I want the fight. The Pettis wants the fight. The fans want the fight. So why not? We are ready to fight. So let's get this done.
One more thing I don't have to do on Monday.
Push for Dan.
Yeah, let's get another deal done. What do you got, Aaron? I got a feeling you're not going to get a deal done for me.
Maybe in the second.
All right, let's check it out.
What do you think of the stoppage in the main event?
What did I think of the what?
The stoppage in the main event.
You know, you've heard me up here a million times talk about Herb Dean. I think he's the best referee in the business. You know, he rarely ever makes mistakes, but he made a mistake tonight. Faber was blocking those shots. He gave the thumbs up. And you know, the guy's the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. Tonight he made a mistake.
And for Uriah, obviously you handled it extremely well in the cage. Now just 20 or so minutes later, how do you stomach something like that when it was clear that to many people that you were still able to fight?
This is the sport we're in. It's funny, Herb Dean was the referee when I lost my first fight against Tyson Griffin. I did like a cage dive into a steel bar. I ended up getting 7 staples on my head in the first 8 seconds. And then I almost got knocked out like 2 or 3 times. He let me fight through it all, I've had wrestling matches where I've been days before and had to do, 4 or 5 more matches in the same day. So it's unfortunate being a guy that's very tough and prides myself on that in a big, show like the one that we had today, where I don't get to fight to the bitter end. On the same note, Brow is getting better, and he caught me with a clean punch and went for the kill. So, I don't know how to defend my, when you say intelligently defend yourself, pull on my leg, and cover my head. If they're asking me to defend myself, I'm already defending myself. I have to do something. So I put my thumb up, but, it is what it is. It's not like a situation where I can ask for an immediate rematch or anything like that, so I'm just going to get back on the horse. I feel great that we have a great champion. I know that there's other challenges out there, and I'll just get back on the horse and work my way towards being a champion.
And then just one more for Barao. Go up to 155. Will you decide to go up to 145 and leave the bantamweight division?
Se o Júnior subir de categoria, você pensa em subir também?
Acho que não, acho que tem muito também para queimar ainda nessa categoria. Estou chegando agora como campeão, então eu tenho muito trabalho ainda pela frente.
No, I still have a long way to go at this weight division, so I still have a lot of work to do. I've just got the belt, so I'm not planning to go out. No.
Yeah, I knew it.
Vou fazer uma pergunta em português para o José Aldo. Aldo, eu queria perguntar para você se essa luta contra o Pettis tiver que acontecer mais leve, se você está disposto a abrir mão do seu cinturão dos penas?
The question is, if you have to fight Pettis at 155, would you let your belt go? Let your belt go?
Tudo depende de como vai ser, né? Eu acho que a gente primeiro tem que ouvir como vão fazer essa luta aí. Eu acho que tanto eu quanto ele, nós dois somos campeões, então depende muito. Então vamos ver. Primeiro a gente tem que sentar para ver o que é bom para ambos, aí sim a gente pode concordar com tudo.
No, I'm not saying that. You have to see, you have to evaluate, you have to see what's better for both fighters. So, I can't answer this question.
I can answer that question. If he didn't win the title at 55, he could go back and challenge for the 45-pound title again if he wanted to do that. Or he wins the 55-pound title and 2 other guys will fight for the 45-pound title.
I would also like to ask Ricardo Lamas over here. How did you feel about your performance today? What do you think you missed?
I'm a little disappointed. I came into this fight, I wanted him to know that I wasn't scared of him, that I wasn't scared to stand with him, and I got a little bit too caught up in that. I should have been playing my game a little more and looking for the takedowns in the later rounds, but it was just stubbornness that got in the way, so I think next time I got to stick to my game.
Yeah, over here, dude. In regards to Aldo and Pettis, you have the 170 divisions wide open. You could, if he leaves and goes to fight Pettis, you could have the 145 division. It's kind of like there's a lot of changing in the guard, new champions. How do you feel about that? The promotion, seeing your big pay-per-view draws out of the picture. You could potentially have two wide open divisions.
Yeah, well, they won't. Well, we got the fight in Dallas. That division won't be wide open anymore. There'll be a champion at 170, and then if he moves up to fight Pettis, two of the best guys in that division would fight for that title. That's part of the sport, I get these questions all the time, and I've been getting them for years. What are you going to do when Chuck Liddell leaves? You guys are going to be in big trouble. What are you going to do when Matt Hughes leaves? What are you going to do? It's part of the sport. It's like, the window of opportunity is small in all sports, and it's always going to be this way.
What was most surprising on the card tonight to you?
The most surprising? Well, we broke a record tonight that I'm not very proud of. The most decisions ever in UFC history. That's not one you're going to hear me bragging about at press conferences, but I would have to say I was pumped with the first fight of the night. You know, it was awesome. Those two went out there, and it was just such a great fight. So, I mean, if you want to ask what I wasn't pumped about our record tonight, but that fight was awesome.
And Frank Mir, is that something you're going to have to decide on his future and sit kind of, this guy been in the UFC a long time, he's one of the kind of torch carriers of the brand and everything. Is you're going to have to think long and hard about that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not a decision we make tonight. We'll go back and we'll get together next week and figure out what we want to do, but yeah.
I'm surprised that fight went the distance.
Yeah, it wasn't the fight I expected to see.
And for Alistair, Brock Lesnar, why call out Brock Lesnar? There's other guys that had you in the division, you know, Kane's the champion. Just curious as to why talk about Brock. And you already beat him.
I heard there was talk of him coming back all day around. Not too.
For Amos, incredible fight, but I've got to imagine that could not have been the game plan, right? I mean, it wasn't to just stand there and throw until somebody fell down.
Man, I don't have a game plan. I just come in there just to fight. And I don't fight to decision, I fight to finish.
And in the quotes that we got from you after, it sounds like you called out Cowboy or Nate Diaz. Well, why are those two fights that you're interested in?
I wasn't necessarily calling them out. I was just, she asked me who I like to fight, so I just threw a couple names out there. I just want to fight the better guys in the division, just get closer to the belt. And those are two names just popped in my head at the time. No disrespect, but you know, just came up.
Any immediate plans for the money?
Say what?
Any immediate plans for your bonus money? Are you already spending it in your head?
Nah, ain't like that. I'm very grateful for it though.
And just real quickly for Ali, if I could. Ali wore a shirt at the weigh-ins that said that you're going to feel the hands of stone, and then he kind of put in a wrestling game plan. Was that the ploy to kind of bait John a little bit, or did he just decide the wrestling is working in the last minute?
На взвешивании ты одел майку, на которой было написано, что завтра ты почувствуешь, что такие руки. Но твоя тактика на сегодняшний бой была в основном связана с борьбой. Как ты это отреагировал? Был ли это какой-то захватывающий маневр с твоей стороны?
Это был один из сюрпризов для Джона Линникова. Как я уже говорил, для него у меня было много сюрпризов, и это был один из сюрпризов.
As I said in the interview before sort of a couple of days ago, which you saw on the screen today, I prepared a few surprises for John, and that was just one of them.
There was talk of this potentially being a #1 contenders fight. Does he feel like he's done enough to challenge for the title, and how does he feel he matches up against Demetrius Johnson?
Ты чувствуешь, что ты сделал достаточно, чтобы получить бой за пояс? И как ты расцениваешь свои силы по отношению к Димитрию Джонсону?
За титул драться это всего лишь вопрос времени. Я готов драться, если предложат бой за титул, я готов драться, я не откажусь от этого боя. Это всего лишь вопрос времени, когда я буду драться за титул. За титул я все равно доберусь, рано или поздно.
I'm going to get to the title sooner or later. It's really up to Dana, and if he gets the offer tomorrow, he'll never turn it down.
My question goes out to Dana. If Anderson Silva indeed comes back, would you consider him fighting against the Belfort Whiteman winner? And I would also like to know if you're going to root for somebody at the Super Bowl tomorrow.
You know, Anderson should be walking without crutches here in the next couple weeks. Then he'll start training in a few months. I mean, we got to see how he comes back, and he is 100% confident that he's coming back. You know, who he's going to fight still. I mean, the landscape changes so much in this sport because he probably won't fight till the end of the year. If everything goes the way that it should, he should be fighting in pretty much the same fight he fought in last year. You know, this last year. So we'll see how it goes and what's going on then. And then I'm a Patriots fan, so I don't have a dog in the fight tomorrow, but I wouldn't mind seeing Peyton Manning win the Super Bowl. I'm not bitter like a lot of other New England fans.
Question for Uriah Faber. It looked like you might have tweaked your knee at the very end of the fight. Did that happen or no?
No, it didn't happen. It's funny, I walked up to the Fox interview and the screen was all blurry and I'm like, is anyone else, this screen blurry to anyone else? And they're like, yeah, it's a blurry screen. They're trying to trick me.
One thing I want to throw in here real quick when we were talking about the Faber fight being a quick stoppage. I've been talking about Henry Morale for months. I'm going to say it again tonight. The kid is unbelievable. He keeps looking better and better. He's a finisher. He comes out. Uriah Faber's been on a tear. We know what Uriah's done in the last year, and this comes out. This kid, every time this kid fights, he looks better and better and better, and he's a finisher. And I just think this kid is one of the best in the world. Period. Pound for pound, etc. So just wanted to put that out there after all the talk about it being stopped early.
Does Alistair know something that we don't about Brock Lesnar?
No, Brock Lesnar is not coming back. Brock Lesnar is not fighting. I mean, does he want to come back? We talked about him wanting to come back, and he feels like he didn't, he wasn't 100% while he was here. He feels like he, sold himself a little short and all the stuff that I told you guys before, but no, he's not. We have no deal with Brock Lesnar. He's not coming back anytime soon.
Last year at this time when Aldo fought, you said Pettis texted you right after the fight.
Yeah, my crappy flip phones don't get any service in here, so nobody's texting me tonight, so I don't know. Vitor could be blowing me up right now. Could be Pettis, anybody. I don't know.
Also, he says he wants to fight July 5th, but Dr. Clapper on Fox Sports said that that's way too soon for that kind of injury. Do you have any idea since then?
I don't. Again, that's one of those things, we've got to see how he heals, see what happens, and the doctor will make that decision.
Okay, and just two for Alistair over here. We hit him with some very big shots, and it looked like he was close. Did you think the fight should have been stopped?
That's a good question. He was a survivor, right? He didn't go to sleep, and he didn't tap. Frank is also one of those fighters that he stays dangerous till the end. Because I felt that till the end he was searching for a submission or for something. So that's a little bit his strength. He looks like he's damaged, rocked, goes down, you dive on him, you unload, and suddenly you're in the leg lock. So that's why I also kept the leg lock.
Can you describe how you feel? It's been quite some time since you experienced the win in the UFC, and you were on that losing streak. Just to get back on track,
it's been a while. Well, for me, it's been a long year. I never stopped training, so I basically been training since 10 months straight or something. So for me, I'm going to enjoy a nice long holiday, and it feels great to be back on the winning track.
And then just one more, if you don't get the Brock Lesnar fight, it doesn't sound like he's coming back. It seems like if you look at the rankings and everything, you and Junior Dos Santos would make a lot of sense, and you have a history with him. Does that interest you?
Every fight in UFC is interesting to me, and on that note, for now it's holiday time, and we're going to sit together with the team, and then we're going to figure out the next steps.
Does that interest you?
Yeah, no, it's a great fight. So Anthony Pettis just called. He said he absolutely 100% wants the Aldo fight, and he'll take it. So there you go. Huh? What did I just tell you 2 minutes ago? The doctor's got to decide when he's coming back. We're on a roll there with good questions. Don't blow it.
Over here, if Jose decides to leave vacant the 145 title, where does that leave guys like Ricardo or Calzanson? They might be in the fight.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We got to see if this thing happens. Aldo said he would like to do the fight. Pettis just called and said he wants the fight, and see if we can get the deal done. If so, if they want to do it, he can move up. Do the fight at 55, and then we'll see what happens at 45.
Okay, question for Ricardo, hope you can answer me in Spanish. When did you decide it? I heard your corner was calling you to move more, to be more aggressive. why wasn't the fifth round when you decided to go after him?
It wasn't that I decided to go after him in the fifth round, but you know, we got into a scramble. I ended up on top, and I tried to finish the fight as much as I could. I think if I would have had a minute longer, I could have done something with it, but you know, time just ran out. He did a good job of tying my hands up. It was hard to get him out to cause any damage.
Uriah, you took this over here. You took the fight on short notice. Did you feel that had any impact at all? Did you feel sharp or as fresh as you did in the previous fights?
I had a pretty crappy training camp for McDonald, and I was forced to kind of train light, and I performed really well. And then about 8 days into this camp, I tore my hamstring and bruised my patellar tendon. And I was doing hyperbaric chamber. I was doing everything I could to heal up, and I felt great. I mean, I stayed off. I was able to do mitts the whole time. It was just a minor tear in my hamstring, and you know, it was just a deep bruise in my patellar tendon. So I was doing mitt work like twice a day, and I wasn't able to spar. I only sparred once for this camp, but honestly, today I felt great. You know, coming into the fight. I mean, I was worried about that coming in, but just things healed in time. So I would have liked a longer training camp, of course, but you know, this isn't a world where you get to choose your opportunities, and you got to take advantage of the ones you get. And I'm a firm believer in that. You know, you look for opportunities, not guarantees. And today, I thought I was going to win the fight 100%. That's why I took it.
Over here, right here. If anyone else took that leg kick, those leg kicks, they probably would have faltered right then and there. You were able to withstand some of the most vicious leg kicks I think I've ever seen. What was it that you just kind of pushed past?
That's just how I am. You know, I can take damage and keep fighting. I guess it just comes down to, you know, I got a lot of heart, you know, and I'm very stubborn, and I don't like giving up at all. So he would have had a baseball bat in there to make me stop coming forward.
And my next question is for Abel. You guys had each other in hot water several times, and you were able to come out on top. What do you think it is about you that is why you're sitting here right now?
My heart and my killer instinct. I'm glad the referee didn't stop it. He literally had to knock me out. That wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to shell up or tap out. So it is what it is. I just kept fighting like a true fighter would, and I came out on top.
Rogan taking the high road with her team, sitting here now, but I mean, there has to be something in you dying inside, and you haven't been able to get the title, and there's been so much talk of you that being the one obstacle you haven't been able to attain in your career. I mean, it's just, you're just holding on for a personal moment with yourself, like after this is all done. I mean, how do you hold on? I mean, there has to be some type of release for you, disappointment-wise.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely disappointed. You know, I feel like, you know, for those who know me, I don't consider this my last chance by any means. You know, I took a great opportunity against a tough opponent. You know, whole camp didn't go my way, and I still was optimistic that I was going to get this belt tonight, and I'm still optimistic that I'll be a world champion. It is, you know, a fact that I haven't had the UFC belt yet. I came in, you know, into this sport at a time where there was no weight class for my division in the UFC, and you know, it's not like I've never won a title fight before. I just haven't got the UFC belt, and I plan on doing that. So you know, this is another chance, and until I'm off the planet or I quit trying, I'm gonna keep trying for the things I want, and that's how I roll.
Dana, to follow that up, I mean, many have knocked. I mean, do you still?
If you knock Faber for getting another shot, you're just hating on the kid. You know what I mean? The guys, look what he's done in the last year. It's ridiculous. Guys get, you know, like him, get shots because they deserve it, or he's the best in the world. You know, I mean, after this last year, anybody who can deny him a title shot is crazy.
I mean, do you think one more he's back in the discussion, or is it just?
Well, with the way the finish ended tonight, you know what I mean? It's again, how do you? maybe some people feel, I mean, does anybody feel that he could have continued, or does anybody disagree? And that he probably could have continued. It's one of those tough fights. This kid comes out and looks unbelievable, and he recovers and comes back, gives the thumbs up and everything, and they both kind of get screwed tonight. Round gets screwed and Faber gets screwed. It's one of those, it's the cherry on the 10 decision record-breaking catastrophe this evening.
And staying in bantamweight, have you spoken to Dominic Cruz?
No, I have not talked to Dominic.
A couple questions for Dana. One of your undercard fighters, Kevin Lee, looked like he probably sustained a major knee injury in the middle of the fight. Was there any update on that?
I don't know. Yeah, I know he's on the list of guys that were transported, but I don't know what happened.
And being that Cruz is still on demand, is the winner of Assunção and Rivera the next guy up for battle?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that. We'll figure that out.
For Alistair, you used to fight at light heavyweight a few years ago. Now as a heavyweight, the division has a 60-pound range in which you can play. You can show up lighter, you can show up heavier depending on the opponent. Do you enjoy that kind of freedom to be able to modify yourself, if you will, to match up better against your opponents?
Well, what you do is you look at who you're fighting and you adjust. I mean, obviously Brock was the last big guy, a little big for this big too, by the way. So then when you're fighting these big guys, obviously you want to be a little bit bigger, you want to pack a little bit more muscle. But if I look at the top of the division, K, 240, I might even drop a little more, but I'm big. I think if I drop too much, it's not going to be good. So I'm not expecting to drop that much more.
And lastly for Ricardo, there's a couple of crazy moments in the fight. I think at one point you had him up against the fence only, feet up, feet off the ground. Also, I believe last 2 minutes, it was just, the sort of thing that all the fans want to see. When somebody is behind, to see a fighter, find it in their heart to fight to the very last second and put in a major effort. What can you say about that?
Close isn't enough in this sport. Looking back, I think I could have tried harder and I could have pushed the pace more. And I have nobody to blame but myself. Jose did a great job in the fight. In the end, like I said, I wish I would have had another minute. That was the spot I wanted to be in the whole time, was on top, and I should have tried harder to get there.
Quick question for Jose. Jose, you've been completely dominant so far. I want to know what do you attribute that to? Do you think that it's just fighting tougher guys now than you were previously? Is there a change in your mentality as to when you were younger? Why do you think you're not finishing as many fights as you used to?
Falando do seu cartão, você é indiscutível, mas nas últimas lutas você não tem conseguido finalizar ou terminar a luta no último tempo. O que você acha? Qual é a razão disso? Seus oponentes estão mais fortes? Você está controlando mais a luta? Qual é a razão disso?
Pois primeiramente eu acho que você vira um alvo, então você é muito estudado. Quando ninguém me conhecia, eu vinha, era um franco atirador, então fazia. E acontecia, então ninguém conhecia o José Aldo. Hoje em dia todo mundo conhece, então todo mundo já sabe os pontos fortes que eu trabalho, então eu tento reinventar o jogo para chegar aqui e não ficar uma coisa que todo mundo já sabe. Então é difícil, eu sou estudado e assim eu procuro estudar mais ainda os adversários.
I don't know it was easier to do that because nobody knew me. So, it was easier to be more aggressive and finish the fights. Now, every opponent studies me a lot, so they know my game, they know my strategy. So I try to reinvent myself every fight. So, it's not always that, I can finish before the 5 rounds.
Por mim, eu queria vir aqui dar um soco e acabar e voltar para casa. Então, seria ótimo assim, mas...
If it was up to me, I would end up the fight in one punch. But no, I cannot do that all the time.
Tem outro lado, a gente tá querendo muito, então a gente tem que respeitar sempre. Eu acho que são dois caras ali que dão duro na academia, passam 3 meses treinando, chega lá e já são melhor. Então, geralmente a gente não consegue, fruto também do adversário que é muito duro.
The problem is, I have an opponent, and he worked very hard for 3 months, 4 months, just studying my game. and study me, and you know, he wants to beat me up, so I have to be careful.
I have a question for Uriah real quick. Uriah, to your left. I don't know if you answered this earlier, I missed the beginning of the press conference, but with all this talk about him moving up to 155, you fought a lot of guys at 135. Are you sick of the weight cut? Could 145 be a possibility for you, or are you 100% at 135 moving forward?
I am sick of the weight cut, but I also was sick of fighting bigger guys at 45, so that's why I did the weight cut. I'm going to stay at 135. So if there are some big fights, you know, I mean, this has been a hectic year. It's been just kind of a whirlwind. You know, 5 fights, 11 months. It's just all the stuff I was doing. Just hear what these guys have for me, you know. I would like to do some fights that are interesting, you know, and I feel like I am getting better. My body feels great, and I don't know. I don't want to go up to 45s permanently, but if there's like something that people want to see, then I might do that.
This will be the last question. Go ahead.
Question for Barão. Barão, and I ask in Portuguese, I'm sorry. Barão, o que foi mais difícil para você? A pressão de lutar no mesmo cargo que o Aldo, depois que ele tinha vencido a luta, ou a pressão de você defender pela primeira vez o cinturão mundial?
What was more difficult for you today? The pressure of fighting after Aldo, after his winning, or the pressure of defending your belt for the first time?
Na realidade eu não sinto pressão nenhuma, né? Eu acho que eu já me considerava como campeão, então é o que eu gosto de fazer, é minha vida, meu sonho, tudo se tornando realidade, então não sinto pressão nenhuma, eu estou feliz quando estou ali em cima, mais ainda quando eu vi a vitória do meu amigo, que a gente passou 3 meses treinando junto, forte, todos os dias, e quando ele ganhou eu já fui mais motivado ainda, então deu tudo certo. Mas é isso, eu acho que não tem pressão nenhuma, eu me sinto feliz de estar ali no octagon, estar ali mostrando meu trabalho.
I felt no pressure at all. I was even happier when I saw my teammate winning the fight. You know, I enjoy fighting. I enjoy myself winning the octagon. So there's no pressure at all. That's the job I love. You know, I keep on fighting, I keep on winning fights.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody.